Hello there. I'm someone and you are someone else. And today we're going to talk about 10 seconds of less time is not worth death. Now, why do I say this? Why am I saying this right now? What exactly qualifies me to say this? Well, every time I drive, at least in the state of Maryland, because that's where I live, in the state of Maryland, the people drive like I don't know. They drive like they're going to the hospital. But I know that the 90% of them are not going to the hospital, right? At least 90%. And so an extra 10 seconds of saving time is worth, driving crazy and like almost about to murder someone. And it makes me mad because we could have be we could have a much less tense situation on our hands if people would just drive normally, right? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something inherent about their human nature that I just haven't figured it out yet. But I cannot think of a single reason you should be going 100 miles on a 55 and swerving each lane like you're about to kill me. Every single day they drive like a complete jerks, and I just don't understand. So why is an extra 10 seconds of their life worth the death and the destruction that they cause every single day? Why is it worth that? Why is it worth almost dying for an extra 10 seconds? I just don't understand, right? Help me understand this, Marilyn. Help me. I don't understand. Why do you guys drive like this? What purposes do you inhale? And here's the thing, right? I went to Massachusetts and they call themselves, okay, get this, right? Massholes because they're proud of the way they drive, okay? And the fact that Maryland, I think, anyway, because I've lived in Massachusetts and I'm living in Maryland now, the way they drive here is actually worse because they're using any road that isn't even a road to drive on. I mean, they're using paths that shouldn't even exist here. That's how bad they'll drive in the forest if they need to. Like there is no concern for life here, and it's very apparent once you get behind the wheel in this state. There any regard for human life, this goes out the window. At least in Massachusetts there was some regard, like a tiny bit, but then in Maryland that goes overboard. I gotta say something about Maryland real quick. Maryland, I love their flag. Flag is amazing. Okay, Massachusetts, they're actually changing their flag, so whatever. But again, like, I'm not from neither of those states, right? So for me, talking about states that I lived in, I mean, technically I am from there, I guess, if I live there, but I'm not originally from there, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to explain that, yes, me talking about some states that I'm not originally from, that doesn't mean I want to make fun of the whole state's culture. I don't want to just culturally appropriate a whole state. But yeah, it's just like, what the heck? This state is one of the worst states. I have driven in New Jersey, New York. I mean, at least there was some level of actually regard of human life. New Yorkers were pretty bad. But like driving on the East Coast is one of the worst experiences you will have. Don't drive in the East Coast of the United States. In fact, the West Coast is a lot better. I've been on the West Coast and I see how those people drive, and they drive a lot better. There is an extreme regard for human life there. California is such a beautiful state. I don't recommend living there, but I recommend visiting it just to see what it's like. I mean, the problem with California is it's going downhill. Its culture is not sustainable, economically speaking. And it was the fourth largest economy. California was the fourth in the world, and now it's the fifth. I mean, they are doing something wrong if they're moving down. So it's a decline of California. It's going to happen. I mean, it was going to happen, like, percentage wise, it was going to happen anyway, but now they're actually losing, like, economic production. So now you're starting to see not only are they losing percentage wise, which was expected to happen over the century anyway, but now they're actually losing actual billions of dollars because people have gotten so mad at California. government anyway. And so, like, yeah, I mean, I'm just not a big fan of taxation or what, I don't know. But then there's a reason why people drive like jerks. I think it's the taxation. I think if Maryland didn't tax so much and people got to keep more of their money, think about how stable these families would be. Think about it. If they didn't have to, I pay 30% taxes. I can't imagine what a family man pays. He's probably paying 40% more. He's probably paying 40. So think about that. He's a family man working hard for his family, and he's taxed more than me because he's more dependent and the school system he relies on and everything like that. Even though you really shouldn't be relying on the school system because the school system doesn't teach you anything. Um, I just feel as if, I feel as if we have a very flawed system. We spent trillions of dollars a year on an education system that doesn't work for our states. And I see that with California, and I'm seeing it with Maryland, and I saw that with Massachusetts. And I'm just not happy about the way things are going. Why am I spending money on students who aren't learning anything of value? I'm really thinking about that. Really, my brothers, they tell me about their school experience, and it is worse. It's not better. They spend more per student here in this state than they do in Massachusetts, and it's worse. So where's the money going? Why? I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I never had the best time in high school. Let's just be real about that. But, I didn't have a lot of friends, but I at least tried my hardest until senior year where I kind of, got 70s all across the board. But again, like, GPA of 3, you could sleep and get that GPA. I mean, I had to work hard because I was dyslexic, but most people aren't dyslexic. They don't have to worry about that, right? So I'm just like, I don't understand. If a dyslexic like me is complaining about how broken an education system is, I learned more through YouTube. I made thousands of dollars just based on learning. I learned so much on YouTube that I never need school in my entire life. I will never need it again. I will never even go to college probably. Unless I need to. I don't know. Everyone keeps telling me education is the backbone to success. I disagree entirely. But again, that's another rant for another time. This key takeaway of this video is don't drive like there's no regard for human life. At least drive nicer. And don't beep. Oh, also another thing. Don't just beep at someone who's just stopped. Well, I was parked for 10 hours, right? One day I was parked for 10 hours. Starts beeping at me to move out of the way. I don't understand. That was a parking spot. I parked here because I had to go to work, So dumb. Also, cars are really expensive. I don't understand how people can afford to drive, honestly, and that's probably why people are pissed off. Is they also can't afford to drive because of inflation, because of taxes. By the way, taxation is the only reason our currency has value. If the government didn't tax, our currency, the US dollar, would not mean anything. That's the thing. Like, that's why we pay high taxes, so it gives the US dollar more value. But at the same time, I don't want to pay high taxes. So it's beneficial for us workers not to have high taxes, but also it makes our currency worth less. So at the same time, maybe it is good to have high taxes. I don't know, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something, economically speaking, I'm not the best economist in the world, right? I'm not the best economist in the world. But I think I generally have a feeling that we're tricking people into buying these Federal Reserve notes across the planet. I mean, again, it's very complicated. There's a whole web that I've been drawing in my head, like where these, and they keep lying to us. 2000, they told us, oh, don't worry, there's not going to be an economic collapse, right? This was before I was born, right? Before I was born in 2000. They said, oh, don't worry, there's not going to be a tech bubble. There's no tech bubble. You can just keep buying tech stocks. Guess what? Tech crash happened. 2008, oh, don't worry, there's not a bond market bubble. There's not a bond real estate market bubble. Guess what? All the bonds collapsed. All the real estate collapsed. We keep getting lied to over and over again. And I am so mad at the world for the blatant lies that have been told to us over and over again by our school system, by the Fed, by the people who are supposed to protect us the most. We are vulnerable to these systems of information that are lying to us. Inherently, our inflation is much higher than what they're recording. I mean, that is ridiculous. We're actually have more up to a 20% inflation rate than a 6% because they're not factoring education and healthcare and other expenses, right? They factor in rent, but they don't factor in all the other ones, right? Which is fascinating. And I don't know why they do that, you know? It's just so they can lie to people and say everything's okay. When in actuality, it's not okay because the average worker's wage is only increased by 800%, meanwhile inflation's up by 2,000%. You know what I mean? Like it drives me absolutely crazy. The lies. The lies. But yes, this video is titled um an extra 10 seconds of your life shouldn't be worth death. That's what this video is going to be titled because you guys need to think before you just start driving and swerving in the lanes and not even use your blinker, by the way, when you do it. And there is, and the roads that don't exist that they drive on. Like, they literally will drive in the forest. There's no, the roads are just a recommendation. There's no beeping at people who are yielding to other cars. I mean, there's the impatience. You need to have patience when you're driving a car. And the fact that you guys can't afford your cars makes it even worse. It makes you even more impatient. And the fact that you're getting taxed on top of that makes you even more impatient. That's why I kind of tied all those things together, probably. And so, yeah, my philosophy on life is just try to live as stress free as possible. Don't pay down your cars. Try to pay as little taxes as possible by having I don't know, a Roth IRA or an IRA, or do something to lower the tax bill a little bit. And if you want kids, go have kids. If you don't have kids, then don't have kids. But you shouldn't abandon your kids. Obviously, it's a terrible thing when people do that. If you're gonna have kids, you better decide not to or not to have them, because it's kind of a messed up thing when you have kids, or you mess up in some level and you backtrack on that decision. That's bad. So it's just like, I don't know, man. That's my morality kind of. I have a morality kind of to it, and I have this thing where they just lie to us every single day. I get lied to by the news, and I literally read news articles, and I'm just, I don't know, man. And I think the news is what's making it worse. These drivers are reading these news articles, they're making them dumber. That's what's happening here. They're not actually thinking when they read these news articles. At least I think when I read them. At least I know they're lying to me. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something more to society than I haven't really thought about yet. Anyway, good luck. As you know, you are someone and I am someone else. Signing out, and you will hopefully hear from me from the next week. Another video about angry drivers, or some other states that I've lived in. I don't know. I'll talk about something next week, hopefully. Goodbye.